Hi everyone, thank you for joining me once again. Today we are going to talk about prayer books written by women for women and what it teaches us about societies within the 17th and the 18th centuries. In the 17th and the 18th century, we're starting to see a phenomena called Tkhinas, book of prayers that are full of what is called tchinot, that were meant to be said by women in different sacred dates. Tchina in Hebrew means to ask for something, or to really ask for something, not begging, but to plea and reply about something that you really wish for, either blessings or something else. But the meaning of the word in those books wasn't begging. It was prayers that were so powerful that they were carried by women, for their families, for their homes, for their lives, and they were very special and unique for two reasons. First off, they teach us about something that happened within societies that were pretty traditional, but we can learn a few things. For example, we know that many of the prayers in those book of prayers for women, were written by women that knew how to read, how to write. They wrote many of the things in Yiddish, which is a combination of Hebrew and local languages. And more than that, we know that many of the women that were in charge of printing those books, or even selling them, or creating connections with other women in order to make sure that they know those books exist and make sure that they get them, were women. So we're seeing this intercultural, intersocial phenomena. It is unique because we are way ahead of the feminist revolution, but we see that within this realm of these books, we see that women are in charge of this economic phenomena. They are dealing with money and with publishing. They're creating an entire change of connection between women in different communities, sometimes in different countries. And they're all doing this revolving something that was meant for women. It's a product for women. More than that, we know that some of the prayers in those books were unique to women in some of the things that they refer to, such as giving birth or getting pregnant or being fertile, but also in the times they were actually being said and prayed. Meaning, for example, at the beginning of the month, the lunar months, because Jewish calendar is following the moon, you can see that they're asking for blessings when the moon is starting to rise again. We know that from ancient cultures and ancient times, a lot of the sacred dates revolving the moon or other planets or stars were something connected to the feminine cycles, either the monthly period or the time of pregnancy, or even connected to nature, to how much the land is fertile. And the fact that centuries later, when women are writing prayers for women, they are starting to reschedule them or reschedule them around the times of the cycles of the moon or the planets. It's something that we haven't seen for centuries, and we're seeing it now in this product made for women in this book. Another thing we can point out is that they're approaching, calling, or asking the assistance of different feminine characters from the culture. It could be either the four mothers, Sarah, Rebecca, Leah, Rachel, but also others that somehow did not find their rightful place within the male traditional prayers. For example, Bilhah and Zilpah, that were also the mothers of Israeli tribes. So we have 6 mothers and not only 4. We can find prophets, prophetesses, Miriam, Deborah, Abigail, Huldah, and then usually many of them are not mentioned within the prayers that we do know, even if we know them in the biblical stories and in the interpretations that were given by the sages. Maybe it could open the door to many other women that are less discussed and not necessarily mentioned in those books, but suddenly it seems that those women are rising to their rightful place, such as Yocheved, the mother of Moses, Miriam, and Aaron, and maybe queens like Macha and Jezebel, and other women in the biblical stories, such as Shifra, Puah, the midwives in Egypt that saved Moses, unlike what the Pharaoh was ordering them to do, and they were risking their lives doing so. Hatzelponi, that sometimes is considered to be the mother of Samson and a princess of Judea all to herself that was worthy to the presence of angels. the daughters of Tzlafchad in the desert asking for lands and for rights. Ruth, Naomi, Orpah, that needed to make very difficult decisions and chose different paths that changed history. Hagar and Keturah that sometimes found themselves wandering in the desert. We need to talk about those women. And when we start to seeing or re-seeing sacred products created by women and for women, we can bring forth those women that we don't talk about them as much as we should and see what lessons we can learn from them, even if they are hiding between the pages of the Bible and maybe don't get as much focus as others characters do, but they are there and we need to talk about them. And I'm sure we have a thing or two to learn from them. There's a saying in Yiddish, a woman already knows everything. She's asking you, so you think that you know the answer. If you know women that you are sure that they have great important knowledge that we can learn from, let us know who they are. If you know any women or know of any women that you find inspiring and think that we can learn a thing or two from their stories, do share them with us. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next time.